This is fucking Formula One here, right here. This is fucking Formula One. Listening to this engine go down this straight, it is just orgasmic. And wait till you see Schumacher going into this turn one. Here we go, baby.
Peter.
All right, ladies and gents, prepare for one of the best tracks out there. Suzuka, the Japanese Grand Prix. Ladies and gents, now, I've never driven here before, but I have just watched an onboard lap of Michael Schumacher in those beautiful V10 engines back in the day go through this fucking track, and it's unreal. This track is amazing. I know quite a few drivers back in the day as well who've actually driven here. They've told me the same thing. It's incredible. And even just the slopes, the camber of some of the bends, they say that it's just so hard to get a description of it watching it on board or watching it on TV. Like, you have to be there for the uphill, downhill, you know what I mean, guys? And it's a special track. There's been plenty of showdowns here over the years. So guys, what we're going to do is we're going to go through qualifying. We're going to go with Michael Schumacher on board. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, you're going to watch and we're going to go through the corners and what the best corners are, and the most important corner, which is the spoon curve, and I'll tell you why in a little while. And we're going to go through all that with the onboard. We're going to analyze it, break it down, and we're going to go with Schumacher. You know why? Because the sound of the fucking engine. Now, we could go up up to the current last few years and go with Vettel and Hamilton on board. You just don't get a sense of what it really is all about in Formula One unless you ride on board with Schumacher. And of course, anybody who's listening on Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, I'm going to walk you through the whole thing so you won't miss anything. But if you want to watch more, check it out on YouTube, okay? And we're going to do a breakdown of the lap. So before we get into it, let's take a look at the driver standings, and what a now I'm just going to share my screen with you guys here, and what an F1 race last week, huh? In Singapore. It was, guys, if you haven't seen it, check out my my reaction from Singapore. We break it down, and there was one bad thing. Unfortunately, you see the little baby George Russell moaning and crying, going through the pit lane. Even Ted from Ted's Notebook Formula 1 on Sky Sports, he's the nicest guy in the world. He even walked past him and he went, I think he's going to cry. Like, he's taking the piss out of him. I mean, it's shocking. I tell you, back in Schumacher days and my days, if we went walking around the pit lane like that, teams would be laughing at you. They really would. They'd laugh their bollocks off at you. And they'd actually be thinking, come here, we got an edge over Peter here. This is good, boys. This is good. Just keep poking the bear here. Keep poking the bear. Never let him see you bleed. That's the way I looked at it. So guys, let's have a look. Driver standings: Verstappen on 374, Perez on 223. Now, I might be wrong with the points. I've tried to actually tally up this exactly, and I think it depends where Verstappen finishes this weekend. I don't think he can clinch it this weekend. In fact, I can't even remember what I was even saying the other day. It's quite confusing, I have to say. I think it goes on to the next round, because I did a calculation the other day. Then actually, I was speaking to somebody and they went, no, it's actually the other way around. So I'm actually a bit fucking confused here. But I think it's next weekend where he can clinch it now. I could be wrong on that, but I mean, I put it this way, guys. It's pretty much over. It's over. I mean, there's 7 races to go now? It's crazy. I mean, Max Verstappen 374, Perez on 223, Hamilton on 180. Surprised by Hamilton actually getting so far up there. Alonso just hanging on in there. They were doing so well at the start of the season. Now he's gone. Breaks my heart. Alonso on 170, 10 points behind Hamilton. And Carlos Sainz on 142, and then followed by the rest. So there's not much news going on here, except that Piastri did, before we get to the track now, guys, Oscar Piastri has signed a multi-year extension with McLaren until the 2026. Now, I rate this young fella. I think he's bloody good. I love his attitude too. He's had a fourth place finish. That was his best. And you know what? The guy didn't go wandering around like he fucking won the championship like most of the other teams do. I think he's the only guy out there that doesn't literally jump up and down. You know, I like this guy's attitude. I rate this guy. I think he's good. He's got a bit of spunk attitude on him too. So look, what are they saying here about him? Piastri already has a deal to race for them in 2024, a multi-year agreement to make his debut this season. McLaren wanted to cement his long-term future. The 22-year-old took his first top 3 finish in F1 when he secured second in the sprint in Belgium. But now he did have a disaster in Singapore, even though he did get into the points. From where did he come from? 17th to 7th. So, you know, 17th, especially on a track like Singapore, it's bumpy, it's tight, it can be quite dangerous in certain parts of the track. So coming from 17th to 7th, it was quite a good finish for the guy. I'll have to say that. So yeah, that's really all the news for now. So let's show you guys, if you're watching on here on YouTube, you'll see the track here. So I'm just going to call this out for anybody that's listening on audio. So the circuit length is 5.8 kilometers. It's going to be a 53 lap race, a 307 kilometer race distance. And guys, it's a bloody fast track. So it's one of the high speed tracks, put it that way. Kind of like Spa. And you're going to have the teams are going to be very focused on getting the mechanical grip, right? The mechanical grip is going to be very important, because what you don't want is too much downforce. Now you see the thing, and what you want to do is have as much mechanical grip, so then you can afford to keep less aerodynamical grip, right? And the problem is that it's a high-speed track, so they're gonna have to use quite a bit of wing here, a bit of downforce. So they're gonna have to be shoveling on that fucking downforce. Problem is, you don't want too much. Now, at the same time, you've got the long main straight, you've got the big main long back straight coming out of Spoon Curve, which is turn 14, into 130R, which is flat out. So the straights aren't the longest, you know, this isn't kind of Monza where you're trying to get rid of wing as much as possible. I'll put it this way, to keep it kind of simplest terms, I think they're going to probably use about 75% downforce. Now again, depending on the car, depending on where they get their mechanical grip, but I think that's where they're going to be looking at. So you can see turn 1 and 2 very, very quick. I mean, you'll even see Schumacher there now in this onboard lap, which is just, it's almost frightening, the speed Schumacher carries into this fucking corner, turn 1. Into the 2, the left, double left again. And it's a very, very, even if you look at it on track map here, guys, it might look tight. Right now, I know the track quite well anyway, so bloody well that to me it doesn't look that tight. But I suppose in one way, if you look at it, like I'm trying to look at it on the outside here, it does look like quite a a tight track. It's not. It's got long flowing corners. So if you can see turn 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, it's just left, right, followed by this long left-hander uphill, and then down into the 8 and 9, up to the hairpin in 11. And it is very, very fast, guys. And you're going to see it now in about 2 minutes now when I get Schumacher on. Now, here's the big thing. The most important part of the track. Now, you're probably getting the pattern I'm getting here, right? From where why I'm picking the best part, the best corner in each track, and why I'm doing it. Now, it doesn't apply for all of them, because even in Singapore last year, I picked one teeny tiny section of the track, turn 2, and to me, that was the most important part of the track. So, I think turn 14, now really in a way, they are two different corners, number 13 and 14. Now they also call it the spoon curve, guys, right? Well, let's call it spoon 1 and 2, or hey, fuck it, let's just keep it 13 and 14. So, it's very, very important to come out of the hairpin here. And what you're doing is you're coming through 12, you're taking a long sweeping right, but you're going downhill, then you're going into turn 13, which is, I think it's about 2 gears down. We'll just see what Schumacher does there now. And then you're coming up to 14. But the thing is here, guys, you really need to get out of turn 14 crisp, clean, smooth, have even that 1 mile an hour extra than your competitor. Reason is because you've got this big long straight and it doesn't stop there. This corner here, turn 15, which is 130R. Basically, guys, this is flat out. So this isn't actually really a corner. So in other words, this is one big long straight and this corner is part of the long straight until they start braking hard for 16, 17. So it's all about carrying that momentum out of 14 all the way up this long straight, because that extra mile an hour will carry you down that straight into 130R and up into the hairpin. So that's the most important. So let's go over to Schumacher. Well, shall we? Now wait until you see this, guys. And okay, let's just go. Now apologies for the bad camera work, guys, but you know what? I actually rather the engine noise here. This is fucking Formula 1 here, right here. This is fucking Formula 1. Listening to this engine go down this straight, it is just orgasmic. And wait till you see Schumacher going into this turn 1. Here we go, baby. Now, I'm just going to turn it down ever so slightly, guys. I hope I'm not deafening you here on audio file. So, this is full speed. He's going to ever so slightly lift into the first part and into 2. Watch. I mean, did you hear the car bottoming there? Jesus Christ. That car is on the fucking limit. He's almost flat out into turn 1, carrying the speed into 2. Here we go. Now, this is the quick left, right. And you can see how quick this is. Oh, look at that fucking speed, man. Oh, Jesus. Now, I think he's in about, let me see, 1, 2, 3. He's in about 6th gear going through these S's here. I mean, it's fucking frightening quick. Now, he's gone uphill. Look at that quick lift off. Slow into a hairpin. Okay, now he's got a good run out of the hairpin. Now we're going to analyze this next part here, guys. Okay, we're coming up to that spoon curve, the most important part of the track where I was just mentioning. So he's not there yet, but let's just... Okay, we're coming into it now. Now this next left-hander is not it, but it's... We'll call it the start of the turn 14, the most important part. He's got to get it. He does have to. This corner is important too. He's got to get a good run in here to set the car up for the next one. Now, here we are. The corner. So now he's made a good run into this first part of spoon. Now he's got to keep the revs up, keep it nice and smooth, get a good apex, get the power on at the apex, carry the speed into the apex, get the power on at the fucking apex, and plant that fucker going up this long straight. But he's got to be very smooth coming out of here. Now, he just missed the apex ever so slightly. I can't even believe he got it on pole because, well, then again, it's Schumacher. But here we go. Now, I'll just pause for 1 second, guys. Sorry if I'm interrupting. He got a good run out of that corner, which is great. So he's going all this, watch this long straight into 130R. See what I mean? He's just gone through 130R. It doesn't even sound like he scrubbed up the, ever so slightly speed. But again, that extra mile an hour, whatever he has coming out of turn 14, spoon 2, that's carrying it all the way up this speed into 130R. Nice and slow in there. And showdown. And voila. That's it, guys. That is Suzuka. Incredible track. It really is. Jesus. Gets me going every time. I swear to God. That watching Schumacher. And you see the way he was on the fucking limit going into turn 1. I mean, he is on fucking edge right there, guys. On the edge. So no wonder even he did actually lose out a tiny bit, maybe a half a tenth coming out at turn 14, the most important part. But I think he gained it as well he allowed him not to lose time because he was on the fucking limit going through turn 1. So he's got a great setup on that car, and of course, hey, it's Schumacher, Mr. Balls. So yeah, guys, so that's Suzuka. Okay, qualifying and race predictions. Oh boy, I'm always getting these wrong, aren't I? Okay, for qualifying, oh god, you see McLaren showed some pace, then they were gone. Now okay, Norris had a good weekend last weekend, but then Piastri was fucking nowhere from 17th to 7th, and then you've got Ferrari up there again. I mean, it's by the way, guys, I'm not complaining. It's fucking great because you can't predict what's coming next. So like I said to you a couple of my previous episodes, I'd much rather sacrifice my own predictions to be wrong than be right, because it's keeping everything a lot more fun, you know? Now, Singapore was a disaster for Verstappen. Now, it's just one of those tracks, I think, because you'll never get the real reason why they were struggling, guys, okay? They're never gonna tell us the real fucking reason here. Not a hope in hell. But I do think, from my experience, I think it's the way that car self-generates with that racing line where you've got to turn in with the power, and when you turn in with the power, it keeps the grip up. And the more accelerator you give, the more grip it produces. I mean, the car is just fucking unbelievable. Now, look, it's like everything in life, there's always a weak spot. And I think with the bumps in Singapore, it was so fucking bumpy that they just couldn't plant that car to the ground. So I think that's where they suffered. So overall, the balance. And it was literally, guys, as simple as that. Because the track is so bumpy in Singapore, the car was having trouble sticking to the ground. Simple as that. Now, there's a chance I'm wrong, maybe. But I think Verstappen will be back this weekend. I think he'll, the track is now here. They're not at a bumpy track. He'll be back on form. I think Verstappen's going to take the pole. I think he will. And I think Red Bull are going to do everything in their power to wrap the championship up as soon as possible, and get it done. So then they can kind of relax a little bit, you know. I think you'll have... Jesus. I'm not going with Ferrari. I'm still not, and I don't know why. Maybe I just don't have the confidence in them this year. You know, they're too unpredictable. Do you know what I mean? And even in Singapore last week, it did seem like the cars that weren't going well during the year went well there. And then the cars were going well didn't really go well there. So they went well in Singapore last week, Ferrari. So factoring in all of that, Jesus, I'm gonna go with Verstappen on pole. I'm gonna go with Norris because I think it's kind of like Silverstone. Fast, high-speed track. They've got good downforce in their car, good balance most importantly. I'm gonna go with Norris in second and Piastri third. That's what I'm gonna go with. And for the race, you know what? I'm gonna go with that finishing order. I'm gonna go with the exact finishing order for qualifying as well as the race. So for qualifying, Verstappen on pole, Norris off pole, Piastri third. For the race, Verstappen takes the win, Norris comes in second, Piastri third. Yeah, I haven't done a prediction like that where I've, like, in other words, not copied, but it's an exact copy, replica of qualifying. But I think I've got a funny feeling that could be like that this weekend. I got a funny feeling. So yeah, okay guys, well look, hey, we'll see. And guys, hopefully let's have a great Japanese Grand Prix, and I will be back, of course. either on Sunday night or Monday morning with my reaction to the Japanese Grand Prix. Hope you enjoy, guys. See ya.
Peter Walsh.